Hey, so I decided to make another video on restricted domain. So that's today's topic. So restricted domain is essentially making it so the graph doesn't go on forever. So here's our first equation. So the red equation goes from 0 to 20, and we know that because I wrote that here. But if I were to eliminate that, do you see how it goes on forever? Because the line 4x works for any number, so it'll go on forever. So if I don't want that, which we don't for a roller coaster, I type the restriction. I say, no, I just want it from 0 to 20. And that makes it so that it goes from 0 to 20. So to see this more visually, I'm going to type it down here. So I'm going to put make x between 0 and 20. And you see it like highlights everything on the x-axis from 0 to 20. So it looks exactly like this. Um, So then the next one, the orange line here, as you can see, the restrictions from 20 to 70. If I were to eliminate that, this would go on again forever. You see that? It crossed the blue line. But again, for my roller coaster, I don't want that. So it's super important that I restrict it. And I say, no, I only want it to go from 20 to 70. So what that does, then, I'm going to write down here, go from 20x to 70. And then we see um, that it's highlighted this area here. Uh, so it's only highlighting from the start to the end, and we're only looking at the x. So you see the x is 20, and then the other x is 70. So very similarly for this green line here, if I take out the 70 to 100 thing, again, it goes on forever. I don't want that, so I'm going to put it back. And to demonstrate this a little bit further, I'm going to write 70x less than 100, and you see it kind of has all these restrictions. So I'm going to change the color so that they match the section um, more closely. Okay, so you see it, so far we see how the restriction works, right? The red part, the yellow part, the green part, and then finally I can do the purple part, which is from 100 to 150. And I'm going to change it so that it's also purple. Okay, does everyone see that? So domain is found by looking at the x um, values. So if you look at the green one, it starts at this right here, which it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it's 70, and then it ends at 100. And if I do that, you see it's perfectly lined up. So this is how you find a domain. Now, if you want to find the range, we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to be looking at y values. So rather than putting x here, I'm going to put y. Okay? When I do y, see it goes from 0 all the way to 20. But as I can see, the domain of the red one actually goes up to this number here, which if I had to guess, it's 60, 70, 80. So I'm going to change this to 80. And you see it, all the red part is captured. So notice how we don't care about the x values for range. For domain, we do care about the x values. For range, we only care about the y value. So the y value goes from 0 to 80, right? Now, for the orange one, notice how it starts down here. I don't know what number that is. It looks like 9.5. So I'm going to try 9.5x, and it goes all the way up to 80. So 80, and I'm going to change it to y. If I turn it on, you see it's so close. It's not 9.5. It's a little bit lower, maybe 8.5. No, it looks like maybe uh, 8.7, 8.8. Is it 9? 9? Oh, it's 9. So you see how we care about the y value. So from 9 all the way to 80. Um, so domain is more important for us when it comes to these graphs because for roller coasters we really care about kind of the length because you don't want someone to be on a loop that's too long, for example. Height does matter, like absolutely. Like you don't want people to go all the way to like outer space. But you know, the laws of physics don't allow for that anyway, like a certain height. So we're not too worried about range. But if you want to include that in your paper, that's something you could talk about. But just to reiterate, um, the domain is the x values, right? So it starts, this value here starts at 100 and then it ends at 150. And the reason why it does that is because I made it that way. I could, if I want to, be like, no, I don't want it to go to 150. I can make it to go to 140. And so then I would change that here to 140, and now it's looks like this, right? So this is an important idea that you need to know for Desmos. Um, yeah. So again, if you have any other videos that you want me to, make some content about, just let me know, and I'll do that. All right.